here, your Thrifty Apprentice. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to another in-depth Thrifty review. Today, we are going to be unboxing, doing a demo, and a review of the Faber Castell Black Edition 50 count color pencil set. So, before we get really deep in, we're going to jump into that review. Let's look at let's kind of get an unboxing done first. The pencils come in a box sort of like their classic set, except for it's marketed for the Black Edition pencils. It says Faber Castell since 1761, and we do realize that we are dealing with a legacy company. At the top, you're going to see super soft mined lead, and then it's going to show you a kind of depiction of a holder that the pencil that's included inside to kind of help the pencils be self-contained. The side of the box gives their guarantee, which they always give, letting you know that if you're not completely satisfied with their products, you can return it and they'll replace it for free. The opposite side says the same thing in German, and as you can see, my box is damaged. However, I do not believe that it's from the factory that way. I do believe that happened when it was dropped off by the carrier. Now, I received these pencils back in May for my birthday, and I'm just getting around to testing them in rotation. Now, if you flip the box over on the back, the top right-hand corner, you are going to see sort of a sketchy, almost chalk-like illustration, which is really cute. There's a scannable code here, which is going to take you to more information about the Black Edition pencils. There is a full picture of what the pencils are to be presented like inside the box. A picture of the holder that's included again. Lets you know that the pencils are made in Brazil by Faber Castell, which is headquartered in Germany, and it gives their website. Let's see here. Extra smooth, super soft lid for rich, brilliant colors. Ideal for light, colored, and dark papers. We will be testing all of that out. That's pretty much the box. Inside the box, the pencils come inside the self-contained little holder that I was telling you about. And it was obvious to me from the box and removing the holder that this is definitely a student grade pencil that is made to target the student grade market. It's set at a really nice price point, which we're going to talk about in just a moment after, I kind of tell you what I discovered about the pencils. Now, this little holder lays flat inside the box, but if you pull it, once you remove it, it opens into a square, and that square has all of the pencils grouped in color family. Now, of course, they've been used by me for testing at this point, so they're no longer in color family order, but I did think that it was a pretty cool and nice addition to kind of help a person get going straight out the gate. And it also helped with swatching, which I did swatch them in that order. So I can always reorder them if I need to. Okay, so the set does come with, of course, a black and a white, and then there is a nice assortment of pencils in between. Let's take a look at one of the barrels. Now, the barrel is rectangular, so it is made to prevent rolling away from you while in use. It is a complete black barrel with black wood. There's a colored lid, and then a domed color chip, which is supposed to match the lid. But I'll be honest, I did find that they were not all exactly indicative of the lid of the pencil, so it's always my suggestion to swatch your medium on whichever paper you use it on the most. For me, mixed media paper, so I chose to swatch it on black as well as sort of an off-white mixed media paper, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Now, the pencil is domed, and I do like the fact that it's a really nice looking pencil, but I'll be honest, I like pencils that are not domed so I can see if the lid is centered before I have to sharpen it. But I will say that most of these lids were centered. Maybe about 5% of them were off a little bit. They did sharpen really, really well, and they do sharpen to a really nice point. Now, what I found is that these lids did not break on me a lot, which I really appreciated. I think I may have had one, maybe two break in all of the work that I did with them, which again, I'll say I really appreciate that, especially about a student grade pencil, because I have some professional grade pencils that break quite often, and it gets a little annoying, to be honest. So the lids are really soft, so the sharpness will wear down quickly, and you will have to resharpen, but it will hold. And I really do like the fact that the lids were sturdy, and they didn't break. So let's take a look at some color swatching here. As you can see, there is a nice array of colors. 50. I do believe the range goes up to 100 now. So if you find yourself interested in the pencils and you decide you want to order the 100 range, do know that it's available. You can get more pencils. I did not find in the 50 set that they had colors that seem to be the same. There's a nice array of greens, a nice array of blues. You're going to get some pretty oranges and yellows. I did find that it was kind of lacking in the red department, but you know, you work with what you have to. You have some nice fall earth tones. I would have liked another gray or two in the set, but again, I didn't find myself really wanting too much. I kind of know how to augment colors, so I was able to use colors to kind of mix in, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about when we get to looking at all of the artwork. For right now, let's go ahead and jump into the demo, and then when we come back, I'll let you guys look at some of the other artwork that I've done, and I'll just kind of tell you my final thoughts about the pencils now that we know what we do up until this point. So although I do realize that this video will not premiere until November, I did shoot this video during Inktober. There was a prompt for the word plump, if I'm not mistaken, and I pondered over what to draw for a minute, and I eventually settled on a clownfish. And I just drew it a little bit thicker, a little bit more girthier than I normally would to kind of match prompt. Sketched it out onto some scratch paper, transferred it into my Inktober sketchbook, and now that's where we are now, where I'm using my Creative Mark Super Black fine liners to ink in the clownfish and draw on the black stripes. Now, this particular fine liner set, as I have told you guys before, comes with a range of nibs from a 0.2 all the way up to a large brush. So you'll get a 0.2, 0.25, 0.3, 0.35, 0.4, 0.45, 0.5, 1 millimeter, and then a large brush. So you have a large range of nibs to choose from to get different line sizes and line weights. It is definitely one that I suggest. You can find it on Amazon under Creative Mark from Jerry's Autorama, or you can just order it directly from the Jerry's Autorama website if you choose to. So I inked in all of my pencil work, and now I'm actually drawing in the stripes. So I just pulled up a picture of a clownfish and just used that to kind of gauge where I needed to put all of my black striping. Once I had all of that inked in and in a position where I liked it, I switched over to the colored pencils, and here is where I'm actually starting to lay down the color to try to bring the illustration to life. I started out with a yellow. This is more of the cooler yellow that's in the set, the one that looks more like the sun versus one that looks like a lemon. Now, these pencils do not have color names on them, so you'll have to refer to them by color numbers if you get them. But the lid is indicative of the color. So if you just kind of eye the lid, it'll give you a very pinpoint idea of what color you're using. After laying down the yellow, which again is the one that's more golden like a sun versus like a lemon, I went back in with an more of an orangey red, or more of a yellow ochre first, and then in with a red that I mixed into that yellow ochre in order to give me a more vermilion tone. The pencil set, excuse me, did not have a vermilion red, so I kind of had to pick the colors that were the closest to what I was looking for, layer them a little bit to get the exact colors that I was looking for, but it wasn't a really big deal. Now, after I did the yellow ochre, and then the red, I went back in and added all three of those colors again in a heavier consistency, pressing harder with my pencil in order to get more pigment. Now, this is a mixed media paper, and the tooth is pretty okay. Now, of course, I do believe that if with a more toothier paper or rougher paper, you would grab much more of the pigment from the pencil, which would give you much brighter, more saturated colors. But for all intents purposes, the pencil lids are really, really soft, and the pigment just kind of glides off the lid really easily. Not the most saturated pencils I've ever worked with, but overall, when you look at the softness and the pigment payoff in combination, I think it's a pretty decent set of pencils. Now, I did mix sort of a brown tone because I've come to learn that brown is a kind of a desaturated orange, and I use that to just bring that tone a little bit deeper and give it a little bit more saturation. Then I jumped back in once again with my fine liners just to kind of go over those lines again, because some of the pencils, after you layer them, become opaque and you'll kind of get rid of your black lines. So I was just kind of bringing that back into the picture. And overall, I was really satisfied with the way the illustration came out. Maybe not as saturated as I initially thought it would be in my head when I started, but definitely really, really cool. So I really enjoyed that. That was actually fun to do, to see the illustration come to life. And of course, this was done for Inktober. Inktober's plump. Don't ask me why I drew a clownfish. I just wanted to, so that's what I drew. And I really like the way the overall illustration looks. But as far as the performance of the pencils are concerned, I will say that I don't find them to be as bright and as vibrant as I initially saw on the swatching. That was, just my initial impression. Now, I was able to use browns to mix into the oranges and the yellows in order to deepen and darken the saturations, a little red. So the pencils mix and they blend really well. The lid is really soft and buttery, so especially for this price pencil. But I don't know if it's the paper or me, but it just is not as vibrant as I really wanted it to be. Now, of course, in the meantime, in between time, because this is magic YouTube land, I've had a chance to test the pencils, and I've done some other work with them. So outside of Nemo, I also did the Inktober prompt shallow, and I drew the donut hole because it's a shallow hole in the middle of like a pastry. And then I like drawing food, and it gave me an excuse to draw food again. So the pencils blended really well. Again, I was able to use different colors outside of one color family, but ones that complemented each other to lay on top of each other. So the pencils have a transparency to them. Now, they can get opaque if you use them on a toned paper, which we're going to look at in just a moment. But if you're using them on like a white paper or off-white paper, you can get some transparency, and they're going to layer. And I was able to layer and really build the depth and color that I wanted. But still, I feel like the saturation ultimately that I look for in a pencil seemed to be off, and I'm wondering if it was the paper. That's what I kept wondering to myself. So then I decided I needed to do it on a toned paper, or use them on a toned paper. And I decided to do a bubble silhouette city, just a regular bubble and a chain. So I love the pencils on toned paper. First thing, or the first difference I believe, is that the initial swatching paper is like a 90-pound mixed media paper, and it leans more so towards the smooth side, more so like maybe a hot press paper. Then of course the initial black paper that I swatched on is a really smooth sketch paper, and it's a really smooth budget sketch paper. So there's barely, if any, tooth to the paper, and it's, you know, it's rather thin. So is the initial mixed media paper. Now this paper is Strathmore 400 series black mixed media paper. It's 184 pounds. And I love their 400 series line of paper, period. Some people don't, and I do understand, because sometimes the sizing can go bad in it if you have it for too long. That just happens to be true, and that's kind of true about a lot of papers, if the truth be told. So here I kind of blended the pencils into giving me the background for a city silhouette with a little water, and then I turned all of that into a bubble, and I feel like the pencils were much more saturated and gave me more of the color payoff that I was looking for on the black paper versus on the you know, sort of off-white mixed media paper. Then I did just a normal bubble, just kind of playing around with the colors again, seeing how they blend and mix and intertwine with each other. And they play really well. They're really creamy, so they blend super smooth. Then here I did a chain. I used a couple of different colors, 2 different grays, a sort of grayish baby blue tone. And I would say I definitely like the pencils on a black paper. So maybe a tone tan, a tone gray, a green paper, you know, just tone papers. I think they're going to show up much more vibrant, much more pretty, much more brilliant than they would on a normal tone paper. So with all that said, I was able to bring all of this into a nutshell really, really quickly. They are a good set of pencils. The pencils run $29.99. That puts them at 42 cents per pencils for 50 pencils, which is really not a bad price range. Now, I don't know that you can buy them open stock, maybe from Faber Castell. I'll be honest, I did not check to see, because I mean, no, I'm not really interested in going beyond the 50 pencils. They're a nice set of pencils, but I do believe that there are a lot of nice pencils out there, and if you have a good set of pencils already, I don't see the reason that you would really just run out and buy these. There aren't anything that just super sets them apart from a lot of the other nice budget pencils in their price range, other than the fact that they have the name Faber Castell stamped on them. Now, I do believe that they are much more nice than any of the pencils you can run out and buy in your normal department store, like say Crayola or Crazy Art, or I would say I think they're softer than Stigler colored pencils, and I actually like those pencils. They're a little bit softer than the King Art Pro pencils. They're softer than I think they're softer than Castle Art pencils, if the truth be told. So I think there's definitely a place for them. They're really detailed, so color book artists who have to do really, really detailed work, I think, would really enjoy these. I think comic book artists would really enjoy these for just like sketchbook work, things of that nature, practice work, a pencil set that they needed for on-the-go type work. A regular color pencil artist would really find them, I feel, like beautiful practice pencils for working on tone papers. I'm definitely going to use them more on some tone papers. I want to get some tone gray, some tone tan papers, and really play with these pencils, because I think that's where they're going to shine at. So, you know, I don't dislike the pencils at all. I think they are a really decent product. On a scale of 1 to 5, I would have to give them 3 thrifty stars based on price point, quality, softness, and the fact that they are readily available, although I don't know if you can buy them open stock. So I would say that if you were thinking about getting them and you just wanted to add them to your art collection, I don't think that you would be disappointed. But if you have a nice set of pencils already, I don't believe that these are going to be the ones that you just have to have other than the ones you're currently using. All right, guys, hopefully you saw something in the video that you found helpful or informative, or you just simply enjoyed hanging out with me. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Share the video. Sharing is caring. Maybe someone else would like to hear this information. Hit the comment section. Let me know, have you used the pencils? If you haven't, what did you think of the review? Was it helpful? Did you find anything informative? You can check the video description for all of the relevant links. It's going to give you the Facebook group, the most recommended product list, and the link for the Etsy and Patreon in case you decide you would like to support what goes on here on the channel. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Just keep painting and crafting.